Well, hello. Today I have a special little treat to give you, to present to you. You who like pedals. It is the new Dr. Lo-Fi delay from me, from Wampler. Well, not just me, but, you know, Wampler, us. So basically what this is a lo-fi delay, like I said, and you kind of heard a little bit at the beginning of what that does. Right now I have it on fairly bright setting, and I'll go through the settings in just a minute. This pedal actually was the Wheelhouse, or a version of this was called the Wheelhouse temporarily. See, I actually made a pedal for Brad Paisley. He was recording an album called the Wheelhouse, so we did a pedal. Actually, let me show you real quick. Hang on. So we actually did a pedal called the Wheelhouse at one time, but there was only about 8 or 10 of these made for Brad and his band, and for each one of their boards. So they got them at the studio, they got them on their personal boards, and so the whole thing was because Brad wanted this particular grittish type of lo-fi delay sound on, I think it was the Wheelhouse album, and then he went on to use it to some of the other albums as well. But I really just like made it for him because I'm kind of a Brad Paisley nut, if you didn't notice. Anyways, I'm kind of a Brad Paisley nut. And so we made it for him, for his band, for him to get particular sounds. And it was such a great delay. I like it personally. I use it all the time on my personal board. And I thought, we actually probably should come out with this, but I don't really want to call it the Wheelhouse because I've got another thing working with Brad Paisley on like his delay, like a personal delay for him. And this wasn't it. This wasn't like the Brad Paisley signature delay, but it was still a cool effect that he wanted. So rather than like call it the Wheelhouse, which didn't make any sort of sense whatsoever in the context of the pedal world, I figured what better thing to call it than the Doctor. So it's a little bit, you'll notice the controls are sort of similar to the Fotape Echo, even though the sound is dramatically different. It's not intended to be like any sort of tape echo type of thing at all. It's really just kind of its own thing. I don't even know what to call it. It's just a lo-fi delay, for lack of a better description. But it does have the tap tempo on it. It does have quarters, the subdivisions, quarters, eighths, dotted eighths, triplets. You notice on the front here, it actually has these little ports, these little 1/8" ports. Now, a little secret. These little ports right here are going to start showing up on more of our pedals in the future. Got a lot of very cool things planned. So basically anything that's going to be based around any sort of tempo, any tempo-based effects are going to have these ports. You'll be able to string each one together with 1/8" stereo chords. And what that will allow you to do, let's say you have 5 different Wampler pedals that are all connected. You can tap any of those. Tap any of those tap tempo buttons. It'll sync everything up to the same tempo. Pretty cool idea, right? I think so too. You can also just run a line out to an external tap button, like let's say you got one in your looper or something like that you want to use. You can do it that way. That's a pretty cool feature, I think. That'll be a lot of fun in the coming months. Let's talk about some of the features on this mug. So we have depth rate, which would be your modulation. We have tone control, that being the brightest, all the way clockwise being the darkest. We have repeats, which are repeats. We have delay mix, which is the volume of the delay. And then we have the delay time. You can also tap it in. You can turn it around here. About 800 milliseconds at its maximum. You'll notice it does get a little more gritty at 800 milliseconds. It's using the PT2399 chip, which does get a little bit more gritty once you start pushing that tempo up a little bit. Around 800 hertz or so. Or 800. Not hertz. 800 milliseconds. So let me grab a guitar. We'll go through some of these features and functions. Have a little bit of fun doing it. Let's do it right now. All right. And a trusty Telecaster strapped to my body and my gut. But that's okay. So I'm running through a Vox AC15, which I know you might think that's a little odd, being that we have the Bravado amp back here-ish, you see that. But, you know, I was kind of in an AC 15 mood today. I was running through a couple different amps, and I thought, you know what? I feel like playing on an AC 15 today. So that's what I'm doing. Mic'd with a MXL ribbon, so it's a fairly cheap ribbon mic, but I like the sound of it. And my clean tone sounds like this, playing through the normal channel, by the way. A little bit of reverb on that, as you can hear, provided by the amp. And let's talk about this pedal. Let me start with the repeats. I'm going to turn them down a little bit, about 11 o'clock. I'm going to have the delay mix up fairly high so you can really kind of get an idea of what's going on here. Modulation at my sweet spot, we'll call that noon. And actually, let me turn this reverb up a little bit, just so you can get just the delay. Pretty dry, isn't it? You turn the tone control up. Up more. Now, one of the cool things that I like about this pedal, one of the things that Brad wanted whenever he was discussing this kind of delay circuit with me, is what it does to the repeats whenever you have them turned up. So you can kind of like get sort of this weird, funky oscillation type of thing, but you can play over it. It doesn't get in the way. It's just kind of an effect of it. So let's have the repeats up about noon or 1 o'clock for this. Turn that mix up again. So as you can see, it actually has this weird type of EQ on the repeats as it's repeating. And it's kind of a cool thing. You heard a little bit at the beginning of me doing just that. I'll do another quick example just for fun. So as you can see, it's got like this very cool oscillating thing going on that's really fun to play with. Me personally, like, I've written some stuff just kind of based around that. The first part of this video, that being one of the things working on. Anyways, on to the next thing. Let's discuss some of the other features and what you can do with them. So, not everyone likes long, loud delays, right? Some people like just the basic, just a little bit of delay on your playing. So let's run through that real quick as well. Okay, so for this demonstration, you see how I have the Doctor set up right there. It's just kind of a... just a little bit, actually got a little too much reverb on it. Let's turn some of that back off. Perfect. So I have just a little bit of delay on it, And let me use the Clarksdale for this. I like the way it sounds to this amp, actually. So that's just a little bit of a Clarksdale mixed in a little bit of delay. So I like the way it works with that in that capacity as well. If I make it a little bit darker, we'll see what it does here. Alright, so I hope you like this pedal as much as I do. If you want to check it out, and I hope you do, please go to your nearest retailer, ask them for this pedal. If they carry Wampler, they should have it. If they don't carry a Wampler, go to another retailer that carries Wampler, and then tell your current retailer that they should carry us, because why wouldn't you? I'm a likable guy. Anyways, so with that said, I'm going to play us out on this video. Yeah, go check out your nearest retailer. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate all of you guys watching this video, and gals. And I appreciate all of you who like what we come up with and what we put out. Thanks so much. Just a little side note to you. During recording of this, I've literally lost like 4 picks in a 16 by 20 room. And I can't find them anywhere. Literally. How does that happen?